Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
It's time for Farm and Ranch Headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. From USDA, the agricultural producers can now make elections and enroll in the Agricultural Risk Coverage, that's better known as the ARC, and the Price Loss Coverage, or PLC, programs for the 2021 crop year. The sign-up period opened Tuesday, October the 13th, so you can go by and make an appointment with USDA's Farm Service Agency and get signed up for next year. These key USDA safety net programs help producers weather the fluctuations in either revenue or prices for certain crops. And this year, more than $5 billion in payments are in the process of going out to producers who signed up last year for the 2019 year. We're now showing on the estimate, we're showing only 3,347,000 tons. That's up from last year's 2,733,000 tons. We're also showing there's very few peanuts left in the loan. The loan program last year started out with 2.3 million tons. It's now down to 49,569 tons, and they have to all be out by January. The number last year was 124,000 on this date. But USDA's program cleared and was another successful program for last year.
The Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or EQIP, is a continuous sign-up program allowing landowners or operators to apply for financial and technical assistance from many types of conservation practices. And USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service in Florida has made it easy to get more details. Just log on to www.fl.nrcs.usda.gov. You'll find links to more detailed information on the overall EQIP program, or simply stop by your local NRCS office.
I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first Wednesday of each month at 9:30 to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
Listen up. We have a treat for all you crime thriller readers. Wednesday at 10:05 a.m., Corey Cepeda with Razor Sharp Publishing will give us a preview of La Familia, Loose Ends. Readers will be taken on a page-turning ride they'll not soon to forget, with political intrigue, murder, and family drama. This is the first book of a 5-part series. The authors donating portions of the proceeds to charities including the fight against sex trafficking. Again, that's Wednesday the 21st at 10:05 a.m. Entertainment from Razor Sharp Publishing and your friends at WOCA, The Source.
Oh, hey, Grandpa.
Oh, hey, Grandpa. Hey, Grandpa.
Yes, buddy?
Can you take me fishing this weekend?
I'd love to.
Have you noticed a change in your hearing over the years? Missing the little things in life? Visit Beneficial Hearing in Ocala today. Their expert team of audiologists will make sure you never miss a moment. Call Beneficial Hearing today at 352-629-4418 or visit them online, beneficialhearing.com.
When it really counts, depend on The Source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Partly sunny with a thunderstorm this afternoon. High today 83 to 86. Then partly cloudy tonight with a heavy shower and a low 73 to 75. We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine Wednesday with a thunderstorm in 1 or 2 spots in the afternoon. High tomorrow 80 to 84. Then mostly cloudy Thursday with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon and a high of 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at Scientology.org/stay well.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Partly sunny with a thunderstorm this afternoon. High today 83 to 86. Then partly cloudy tonight with a heavy shower and a low 73 to 75. We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine Wednesday with a thunderstorm in one or two spots in the afternoon. High tomorrow 80 to 84. Then mostly cloudy Thursday with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon and a high of 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
That sound means for it being Tuesday. You're listening to AM Ocala Live. It is time for In the Garden with Carol Ann Baldwin in the studio as we say good morning. Good morning,
Good
girl.
morning.
How you doing today?
Yeah, doing real good.
Good. As we're making our way through here, let's kick it off with weather. Why not? That's what we do. That's the format of the show now, right?
Yeah, we start out with weather. We talk plants. Hey, get in on it. We talk food. We talk plural. We talk,
Now, today, just a little bit warmer, 74 degrees as it was early as we saw the sun come up, but it was a little bit wet. They were calling for 40% yesterday, and it was a lot. About 2 o'clock, it was rolling, and nothing for you.
No.
And for us, a lot.
No.
That's why it's still damp here.
It's like I heard thunder. I did finally hear rain, and I was like, wow, they were calling for all this rain. It's like, I didn't get any.
None. None where you're at. That's incredible. And see, I got so much more than what I was expecting. We couldn't do anything in the evening.
Yeah.
We were going to do some stuff with our pumpkins, but it was just pouring out there.
I had a little bit of rain, but nothing to write home about, that's for sure.
Man. Yeah. Well, there's an expectation for rain in the forecast, so maybe, as we mentioned, and I always told you, when it says 40 to 50%, to me, that's not a percentage. It's a chance. It's a coverage area.
Right. And 5 and 10, 4 and 10 people will get wet.
Exactly.
So it depends on the size of the crowd you're going to hang with. If somebody's going to get wet.
Exactly.
So,
and that might be the difference with the next few days. With that in the forecast, 40 to 50%, we might not get anything today, but down in certain other areas parts of the county, they might. Yeah. But it did get very, very nice last week. We had cooler temperatures for the evening. We were down in the 60s. Yeah. We still had highs in the mid-80s. But what you noticed, and a lot of people did, was we go 4 days without rain, and it being in the mid-80s, it gets dry quick.
It gets crunchy. Yeah,
and I gotta say that I'm very thankful it rained yesterday, because I was just looking at my back patio going, oh man, I forgot that it was dry because I was so reliant on having just the weather rain.
Yeah, well, that's it. I was on vacation last week. I was out of town, and I had watered stuff before I left.
And you thought,
it'll be okay. It was okay, but it definitely, when we got back in town, I'm getting the hose and the watering can and watering some stuff.
They were looking at you like,
Mom, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Yeah, it's all good. We're back. I'm back. That's And talking to the rain, we had, now Epsilon, I guess, isn't really going to bother us.
Doesn't look like it is.
If it does anything, it's going to be up to the northeast, mid-Atlantic states. But
right.
We drove through. We followed Delta. Like you said, I'd rather fly Delta. Yeah, we drove with Delta all the way.
Because the way it impacted land, because we were discussing so much about it, and then by the time it took a turn. And it was still a lot of rain and tropical weather that was moving through that area. Like you said, as soon as you hit a certain state, boy, it just stayed right with you.
Went with it. Not heavy rain, just that constant. You can't quite get the wipers right.
Yeah. And you know as well as I do, though, for the states that you had Delta in, it was this time of year that's that's like the last really good push for the Smoky Mountains and for that, Carolinas and stuff to get a really good rain, like that nice steady rain. That helps the sweet potatoes in North Carolina.
Yeah, and the had cooler weather on those days. We had 2 gorgeous days.
Yeah,
really gorgeous days. You'd have thought we were having a fall day here in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it started out chilly, but it's like the rest of the day it was really nice. Long sleeves and jeans and long sleeves for those of us, and maybe a light jacket for part of the day.
Yeah. But now that you've since been back, is the weather still within that mild temperature?
You know what? I forgot to look. I meant to. I could do it when we take it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know that it's coming.
Right. Because I think they were gonna get rain. And it had rained when we were leaving.
Yeah.
But we got out of that relatively quickly.
As they mentioned, which a lot of the North is right now sitting around that, is it is middle to end of October, and that's one of 2 ways I remember growing up with Halloween. But right now, as they got a chance for some areas of drizzle and patchy fog this morning, but they're hanging on to highs in the low 70s, which is actually really nice.
Right.
And then highs in the, like you said, low 70s, lows there in the 60s and 50s.
Yeah.
So it's still fairly nice fall weather.
They got where I went. They got some fog right now, and it'll be high at 74.
Yeah, not bad.
That's not bad at all. No.
Now Milwaukee and Minnesota, on the other hand, as we were discussing some things with Hugh yesterday, as they're getting some tumbling.
Didn't they get snow or something?
Yeah, yes they did. And
I saw the news report.
Oh, man, I clicked the box there. Okay, there we go. And it was interesting because when I had looked it up, I had seen on the radar some snow moving through the Midwest a little bit.
Right.
And the way it looked like it was moving right towards Milwaukee. Well, then when I looked up Milwaukee, because that's the difference, mind you, of the Great Lakes, they at certain times of the year keep things a little bit more warm. They don't let it get so cold. I remember that, this time of year, Lake Erie and stuff. It was always the idea that if we went to a football game or a baseball game this time of year, it was like, bring a jacket.
Oh, yeah.
But then you're like, I don't need the jacket because there's warm air coming off the lake because the water's still warm. It's like, it's actually really pleasant, And with that, like, for example, Milwaukee has pretty much stayed fairly warm enough with all the precipitation coming through. But see, what is it? However many miles away, you got Minneapolis, St. Paul. They were getting 3 to 5 inches of snow. And it's that wet snow, too.
Yeah. Yeah, but, because of the warmer weather. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this: with this time of year and everything up north, I just remember we still had some vegetables kind of growing this time of year, right?
Yeah, there was. I was going to say, because when my sister and I, we walked through some of the historic areas, where the old shops all were, and that, and some of the old neighborhoods. It's going, wow, I didn't realize how close together these places were.
Yeah.
But here's this little spit of a piece of dirt, on their fence, and they've got plum tomatoes still going, and it was like, wow, you need to harvest those. They're all ripe, and make some sauce, make some salsa up or something. But there's still some things growing, and that. I mean, they had not really had enough cold weather to brown out the grass or anything. There was still plenty of green grass around. Leaves were changing. We, some nice color on some of that. It was kind of weird. We went to one of the nature centers, and we're walking around going, this place is probably a lot nicer in the summertime.
Yeah.
It's like it's sort of just blah right now. And of course, it was an overcast day, so it didn't help any. But
did the leaves change yet?
Yeah, there was some. Yeah, they're changing, which was nice to see. We actually started to see that going up once we hit the Carolinas.
Yeah.
You could see it on the interstate.
It's still it's tricky because in some areas it's. This time is the peak,
right?
And then other times it feels like it's taking longer and longer.
Right, and it depends on the weather, because the warm weather and things. It is a reaction to stress, so they haven't had those stressors fully yet. So probably with sometimes the lack of rain, the temperature changes and that. So they are changing. So we got to see some. My sister collected herself up a nice handful of leaves to take back and show her granddaughters and that because in South Florida you don't have trees like that.
No, you do not.
There's just changed color by what's blooming at this time of year.
Yeah. And it was 2 years ago. We up in Ohio we were, and it was first week of October, and we were actually a little too early. Everything was still just beginning to change.
Right.
And then what's funny is, like you mentioned, the stress, and obviously with where the sun's at in the sky and everything else, it was like we missed it by like a week because then it was peak and it popped and it was beautiful. You could tell. You're like, man, another week here, it's going to be awesome.
You can see it. Yeah. Right. So.
But nonetheless, well, good. I'm glad you got to visit up there a little bit. That I think in your line of work that gives you such a different perspective with nature and everything.
Head going, wait a minute, I know that plant.
Yeah.
How does that? You stop at the rest stops on the interstate, and of course those are all landscaped with things and it's like. We grow that down there. We can grow that. Why have they got that planted there? It doesn't look happy. So yes, the gardener, the master gardener comes out and you go, how are you getting away with? Well, I said that there was hydrangeas like planted out in full sun in a couple of yards, and I'm going, how are they getting away with that? And of course, they didn't look good. My sister says, not very well, it doesn't appear, because they weren't looking. I said, well, part of that may just be the temperatures, but we got to do our hydrangeas in shade, and maybe they are in shade during different times of day. But where I was seeing it, I'm going, these don't look real happy, but they may have because they had been blooming. Yeah,
it makes you wonder because the way the position of the sun this time of year, it might be in summertime, it'd be here, and so therefore you'd have more shade during the summer.
Because I wasn't really real good on directional once I'm around there. If the car's telling me which way I'm going, I know. But
I always thought you would have been the kind of person that's like, all right, no matter what building I'm in or wherever, that's north.
Not unless I look at it. Not unless if I take the time to look. But because we were there on a visit, it wasn't that kind of.
I always tell everybody, this is just the pilot background in me, but I always talk about like situational awareness, and I always tell the wannabe pilots, I said, you should be able to tell where north is, at least true north is, when you're standing in a building or when you're somewhere outside. Be like, all right, north is that way. I'm like, good. That's situational awareness. You should know where that is. You should be able to, Because what I realized is what becomes a challenge for people when they've never paid attention to that. Mm-hmm. We'll go to the west. It's easy. Florida's easy. You've got, when we depart to the west, you got coastline, right? So if you're along the coastline, if you're going south, you got blue on the right, green on the left, right? And vice versa going north. But still, there's so many times where it's like, all right, let's head on back. We've just been dancing out there doing maneuvers. Right. Go ahead and take us back. And they're like, man, where is it? I need to figure it out here. And what do you mean, man? We've just been flying west. Even if we've done circles, there's the water. We must be going the other way. It's just one of those things.
Of course, you get up in the panhandle, and that throws you totally for a loop because the water's on the south.
Yeah, which takes some getting used to overall. Yeah. But that's something I've always. I don't know what it is. It's like even if I'm in a building, like sometimes when I'm in like a bigger metropolis, like a downtown city. It's hard to do because you're like,
because you can't get your shadowing and where the position.
You're like, where does it feel? True north. It must be sort of that way, and then you realize you're way off. But we do got a call.
Oh, do it. Fantastic.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's see. He hung up right when I went to click it.
Oh, call us back. Call us back.
If you guys,
we can talk plants.
We don't
absolutely.
Talk
get us back on track.
It's just everything. It's a potpourri.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this or not, but you take dried floral fragrances and flowers and you put them all together and let them dry out, and you have potpourri. So it's the same thing. It's a topic stuff. As we've got Carol Baldwin, Master Gardener, in the studio. If you got any questions or you'd like to bring up some topics, 622-9622, as we're 20 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour here, rolling on through with our Tuesday show. And I think you just tried to call there again, but call on back, Hugh. I know you're trying to get in there.
Well, we'll answer it. We promise.
Absolutely. With coming back from up north, was there a sense of relief? And you're like, oh, good. I know I'm back home. It's going to be warm because it was nice up there.
It was.
But it's going to turn here in a few weeks.
But I know it's also going to change here.
Somewhat,
and it is one of those things that just, the coming back, it's like, well, it's just more familiar when you're looking around, and it's just one of those kind of things.
And there he is. We got, you're in the garden with Carol Ann, Master Gardener. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning.
How's it going, buddy?
Well, I'm getting used to my little house, As everybody knows, I sold the big guy, and I got this little mobile home here in a mobile home park, which is very nice, and I'm very happy here. But I certainly don't have as much to do as I had with an acre lot. But I do have one thing here that is of interest that I've never had before, and there seems to be quite a few in the park area, and that's what they call this Hawaiian tea.
Oh, the Hawaiian tea, yeah.
What can you tell me about that plant? Does it need a lot of water, or does it need food? What's the story on that one?
Okay. Those are neat plants. Hawaiian Thai, TI is, some people call it tea, some call it Thai. Several in the family of those. Those ones, the Hawaiian Thai itself is labeled as full sun, but they do appreciate some shade in the afternoon, because sometimes they'll look a little washed out in their color if they get in way too much sun. I'd say moderate on the water as we're coming into the cooler season, our winter time. With anything, we cut back on the water, so it's going to want some water on a regular basis, just because it's a plant. Probably a little more than what the rain is going to give it, but nothing that you're going to have to get out there 3 or 4 times a week and water. The once or twice is still fine.
I was going to mention, in the winter, does it probably doesn't need as much water,
not
right?
as much, right.
Yeah.
Not as much water as any plant usually slows down in its growth, and that you might want to cover it. I mean, it depends. That to me depends on you. If you can't survive the winter in my yard without much care, guess what? You don't belong there. Yeah, you're gonna die. They do get, if we get severely cold, they will get damaged, but you can cut them off.
Yeah.
And but you'd wait till spring, till things were recovering, and then cut them off, and they'll come up from the side stalk.
Oh.
So it's one of those things that has little nodes as where the leaves go up, and if you cut them there, they will sprout out from the side.
Right.
Same thing if they start to get too tall, because they will get up like 6 feet, and then they'll be like all naked at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you go, ew. That doesn't look right. So if you have a nice cluster of, say, 3, 4, 5 of them growing, you could take and say the one in the front, cut it so that it's going to fill. It'll come back and be full down there on the bottom, and then you could cut another one a little different height to where you've got a nice little staggered bush versus just stalks.
Yeah.
And take those tops and go ahead and stick them in the ground. They may go ahead and take root. They may take root on you.
Oh, cool.
So, if you're feeling like it's a little thin, or put them in a pot where you can take a little better care of them. But, if it's one of those things, if it grows, if it doesn't, no big loss. But you can, strip a few of those bottom leaves off, stick them in the ground too.
We were at my aunt's house this weekend, and she had a few of them, and one of them is really cool. It was it ended up kind of getting like snapped in the move, and it was growing nice, and then it kind of got snapped, but it continued to grow. It healed the bend, and it's now got this like little signature crook in it, and it's doing very, very well. And then next to it, it started growing another one. So it is absolutely cool because it got the little crook in it. It's real tall, and the other one's just short, so they're looking at each other like that.
So it fills in.
Real good.
So, but they're not real hard to care for. And food this time of year, I really wouldn't feed anything.
Yeah.
Wait till spring, just because it's the end of it's the end of October. We got one more week in this mess. But just because it is end of October, I would wait to do any fertilization probably till about February or March.
Yeah. By my place here, this Hawaiian plant, I've got 4 nice ones. They're about 3.5 foot high.
Oh, nice.
And they're on the east side of the building, so they're getting sun till about 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So they're getting plenty of sun, at least 5-6 hours of sun almost.
Sounds like they're in a happy spot.
Yeah.
Definitely a good position.
How long would a plant like that live?
You know what? I couldn't put a number on it, but several years. It's not something that's just 1 or 2 years. You're looking 5, maybe even 10 years or more. Sometimes people say, well, it starts to look a little ragged, and that's where I said, you can cut them. You can cut them back if they start to get too tall and too leggy, and work on them that way. I should probably try to get some pictures of some of them and it can be cut.
Well, anyways, the wife is up in the Milwaukee area up there, and she's with her daughter and everything, and she's eventually going to be looking for a condo for us up there, which is going to be our summer home, and of course, my trailer house down here will be our winter home. But anyways, I called her the other day, and yes, the dog's water bowl, I had a little ice on it, and she did see some snowflakes and mixed in with the rain. I think it was on Sunday, was it, or Saturday? I forget. But again, now they've got some big plans for some kind of Oktoberfest going on Thursday, and the extended forecast was that to get back pretty close to 70 again. So it's an up and down situation up there, you know.
Yeah. Everything's just crazy this year and out of whack.
Yeah.
To include the weather in it.
Right. Well, I was very thankful yesterday for a half an inch of rain over here because the lawn around my building here was starting to look like it could use some water, and that really perked it up, and it's looking pretty good this morning. So let's hope we get some more rain because it is getting dry out there, and we're probably getting, if we're not in, very close to the dry season. So whatever we get is appreciated.
That's for sure. That's for sure. It sure does save the water bill when it comes to that. If you've got lawn that needs to be irrigated. And of course, we're coming up to the time change deal also. So we've still been in the time period where you can water, if you have an irrigation system, twice a week. Yeah. Well, after the 1st of November, you drop down to once a week. But usually that's about all it really needs, because we end up with some. Usually if a cold front comes through, it is brought in with a little bit of rain, and plants and grass and lawns and that don't take as much water because they're slowing down on their growth. Just watch the lawn doesn't get crunchy, and that, because that's when, if we have cold weather, if we get hit with cold, that's when the damage occurs. So keeping the yard, you can go out. It's hard to do if you don't have a small yard with the garden hose, and you can water it any other time. You just can't put that sprinkler on and walk away from it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. It's the once a week, or going down to the once a week, is for an irrigation system. Hand watering can be done other times, but if you had a large yard, that's kind of difficult to do. So
real quickly again with this Hawaiian plant I've got. You were saying we're going into the dry season. Water once a week would be enough, or maybe every other week, or how should I handle that?
Probably about once a week. Probably about once a week we'll be doing well. And I would even call that, if we got some rain, because it does rain on where that plant is at. It's not up under cover.
Pardon?
I said where it's planted, it would be able to take advantage of rainwater also, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, even if we were to get some rain, I would probably just put myself on a schedule of maybe once a week, 10 days, something like that. Go ahead and give it some water. If it gets rain, that's okay too. Still stay to more of that type of schedule.
Oh, okay. Is that plant native to Hawaii? Is that what it's called, Hawaiian Thai?
I would have to actually look it up. I'm pretty sure it's not native to the east coast of the United States.
Yeah. Well, here we're going to take a short little break. More In the Garden with Carol Ann when we come back. WOCA, The Source.
Fox News. I'm Chris Foster. We're exactly 2 weeks from Election Day. President Trump, behind in the polls nationally, tells Fox and Friends he's going to beat Joe Biden.
This is going very well. I think he's imploding. You look at all the corruption in his family. It's tremendous corruption. Nobody's ever seen. I mean, that laptop, nobody has ever seen anything like that.
He says claims that a story about emails found on Biden's son Hunter's computer was planted by Russian intelligence are wrong. There's a change in the rules, meantime, for Thursday's presidential debate, meant to prevent as much interruption as there was during the first debate.
The Commission on Presidential Debates says both candidates will have his microphone cut off during the 2-minute opening answer portion of the Q&A. Then they'll be unmuted for the discussion portions. But even during the discussion, interruptions by either candidate will count toward their time.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. America's listening to Fox News.
Wouldn't it be great if everything came with more? Like if your new computer came with unlimited tech support. When you choose a Medicare plan from United Healthcare, you get more. like plans that have dental and vision coverage, plus hearing coverage. Call United Healthcare at 1-800-364-1360 to get Medicare with more. Remember, Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th.
Benefits and availability may vary by plan and location. More plans based on a year-over-year comparison of United Healthcare plans.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contact us to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
WOCA. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
On the first and third Wednesday mornings each month at 9:05 a.m., Robert Colin with On Top of the World will be our guest as we learn all about the exciting lifestyle and new home choices available at Ocala's premier adult active community, On Top of the World. From time to time, Robert will bring guests, and you're sure to enjoy our little chats. After all, you deserve the world, and we bring it to you.
WOCA.
The NFL alumni is sponsoring a Clay for Kids sporting event to benefit Champions for Champions. The event will take place at the Robinson Ranch in Inglis, Florida on Saturday, October 24th. Call 866-996-2182 for details. The NFL alumni will provide gift bags, breakfast, lunch, and prizes. Call 866-996-2182 for details. Clay for Kids. Call 866-996-2182 for details. Hosted by the NFL alumni.
WOCA, putting the local back into radio.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
2 Men in a Truck. When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Partly sunny with a thunderstorm this afternoon. High today 83 to 86. Then partly cloudy tonight with a heavy shower and a low 73 to 75. We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine Wednesday with a thunderstorm in 1 or 2 spots in the afternoon. High tomorrow 80 to 84. Then mostly cloudy Thursday with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon and a high of 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first Wednesday of each month at 9:30 to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
Listen up. We have a treat for all you crime thriller readers. Wednesday at 10:05 a.m., Corey Sapita with Razor Sharp Publishing will give us a preview of La Familia, Loose Ends. Readers will be taken on a page-turning ride they'll not soon to forget, with political intrigue, murder, and family drama. This is the first book of a 5-part series. The authors donating portions of the proceeds to charities, including the fight against sex trafficking. Again, that's Wednesday the 21st at 10:05 a.m. Entertainment from Razor Sharp Publishing and your friends at WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Oh, hey, Grandpa. Grandpa. Oh, hey, Grandpa. Hey, Grandpa.
Yes, buddy?
Can you take me fishing this weekend?
I'd love to.
Have you noticed a change in your hearing over the years? Missing the little things in life? Visit Beneficial Hearing in Ocala today. Their expert team of audiologists will make sure you never miss a moment. Call Beneficial Hearing today at 352-629-4418 or visit them online, beneficialhearing.com.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Partly sunny with a thunderstorm this afternoon. High today 83 to 86. Then partly cloudy tonight with a heavy shower and a low 73 to 75. We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine Wednesday with a thunderstorm in one or two spots in the afternoon. High tomorrow 80 to 84. Then mostly cloudy Thursday with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon and a high of 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at scientology.org/stay well.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Right, you're listening to AM Ocala Live, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source. We're broadcasting to you live. We're from, you guessed it, that's right, the Paddock Mall. We're streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio, in the Garden with Caroline Baldwin. As we've been discussing for the first half of the show, a little bit of your trip to the up north there with New Jersey, and then we had a caller there, Hugh. Thanks for calling in. A little change in perspective for his life there, as he mentioned. He kind of consolidated a little smaller area so they could do the snowbird thing. And speaking of, you got a new plant, if you will.
He's got for him it's a new plant. It's Hawaiian Thai. It's a huge family of plants because it's actually cordyline.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And those are a lot of times you'll find cordyline even up into northern states because it becomes a house plant. Mm-hmm. The further north you go, plants go from landscape plants. You figure down in South Florida they don't get burned.
Right.
Yeah, they're just they're a beautiful green, or not green, they're colored foliage. With the cordylines, it's mostly a red. It's very vertical, strappy type leaves, so it gives some height into, if you were doing it in a planter or in a bed kind of thing, gives you a little bit of height because they can get up to like 6 feet tall. I've seen them that tall. He had asked if they were native, I haven't found where they're native to, but it's not Florida, we know that. But, I said, you can have them as a house plant. If you've got a nice a lanai that's sunny, you can put them in there and keep them in a container. You can keep them a little more bushy as they get too tall. You can clip them, and it will regrow from that notch right down below. I say moderate on the water. They're not real heavy drinkers. In a pot, if you use like a real slow release, something like a Dynamite or Osmocote, one of those kind of things that are like the little prill that last for like 6 months or something, you're going to feed them twice a year.
Okay.
Yeah, early spring and then say the end of the summer, and they're good to go. If it's in a container, again, potting mix, in the ground, garden soil. As for anything in the ground, you might need to feed them about 3 times a year, even with the long-term release, only because the heat the humidity, the rain, and all of that. That's how fertilizers are released into the soil, is moisture and heat. So it does begin to break down. Now, there are a few out there, a couple of them out there on the market that are designed a little more for the Florida climate. You find that one, and you're going to probably get at least a little closer to what they say that the length of time is, as compared to the ones that are just sort of for a national brand. Those that way. Up north, if you have family and friends that live up north, it's another plant but they can keep it on a sunny lanai if they're not too far out north. And even in the summer months, they could put it outside. Yeah. Just bringing it back in when those temperatures are going to drop. They, on one of the pages I looked at real quick, said something about below 50 degrees. Nah. I'd say below 40, they're going to stress a little. 32, they're going to get some burn, obviously, because you're going to end up with a frost issues. Freezes, you might want, if it's in the ground, you could take and mulch them real well. You rake up the leaves and just shove them up underneath there. Pull them back when it's going to warm up, for a while, just because you don't want moisture to build in there, as with anything. Or you can get a couple bags of mulch, open them up, dump them on that area. And again, just sort of up and back. It can be a little bit of work, but it's not too bad to keep them looking pretty good for our area.
Yeah, not bad. It's a beautiful plant, I think. I like,
and there's a lot of different ones of them, so you get the different colors.
You get the different colors, and then like you said, just I like how it's got it's skinny, and then it's got sort of like with the way it is up top, it's sort of symmetrical. Like it's very succinct plant.
Right.
It's not kind of wild and doing its thing.
It's not branchy and that. And the leaves usually come on almost
I like those types.
as that they come on around that stem. Not really a whorl, not really opposite either.
Right.
So it's just sort of nice and neat normally, and so many different ones where you can get a narrow leafed, and you're just seen as your cordylines, basically the same thing. So if you get like Colorama, it's a real narrow leaf as compared to the Hawaiian tie. And then you've got some that actually do prefer more shade. So if you're looking for that color on, say, both sides of the house, but one side doesn't have the amount of sun, you just switch to another variety of the same plant. So sometimes you can, you're getting that color without having to, hunt for a different plant. You're just hunting for a different variety of the same plant.
And then that's almost what you kind of recommend, because if you're taking care of that plant a certain way, and then you're like, well, I kind of like this little different color, you kind of get the same thing, because then it's the similar maintenance that's required.
Right, that's required, yeah.
That's, I was going to say, like, it feels like, I've noticed, like, certain times when I've tried to do the back patio, that's where I set myself up for failure. You got too many different varieties of things that you're trying to, okay, well, this is going to do good, right? It all looks good when you first get it in there. Right, but then oh man, this is going to need.
And then you realize you're only really sitting out there on Sunday afternoon and Tuesday evening,
exactly.
And so those are the days that the plants get attention, just because of life. Life happens, and you're right. Then you find out what does well in your area, and you go, wait a minute, those three are doing really good, but that one over there is like, ooh. And it could be just go, let me see if I move this one around to this spot, if it's in a container. And I know people who have dug plants up in their yards and moved them to several locations till finally they found the happy spot.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and while you're thinking of it, when you're thinking of your plants, you're thinking what you really kind of like, look them up. Take a look. If you've seen something in a neighbor's yard or something, go, if you don't know the name of it, go, hey, meet your neighbors, bap on the door, go, hey, do you know what that plant is in your front yard? And they go, no, take a picture of it. See whether or not you can get somebody to help you identify it. If you're in the stores, a lot of times they'll either have a text this code to this number, and it'll tell you what it is, or maybe even a QR reader. I know QR readers aren't out too much anymore, but
which is weird because it's very simple to pull that information up.
Right, right. The producer of it can give you a lot of information with that. So that's one way to find some things out, or even just take a snapshot of the card on the plant, and when you get home, you can do a little further research, because you'll have the name and the botanical name and things like that for it to get you really good ideas on it. So, on that and planning on your gardens is, again, just that whole remembering that if it's in a big pot, sometimes you can get away with adding some of the heavier garden soil in there, just because potting mix is very expensive as compared to garden soil, or even something like the amendments, like just adding some compost or manure, your black cow, your black velvet, any of those kind of things, adding those into it. Read the bags on container garden mixes, because container garden mixes is still considering the idea that you're touching the ground.
Yeah.
And so allowing excess water to leach out. When you're in a big pot, if it's concrete or terracotta, it will leach some of that extra water out. But if you're in a glazed concrete, or or painted or plastic pots, things like that, water's not leaving that.
Right.
So there's a chance that you could actually do more harm than good using a container or raised bed, what they call container mix, raised bed mix. Yeah. Read those packaging, as well. If it's a name brand manufacturer, if you flip that bag over, find out who it is, and even give them a call. That's what they're there for. Everybody thinks, I don't want to call, or email them. There's technical support for everything, yes, including dirt. Including potting mixes and soils and stuff. Maybe not dirt, but because that's what we track in the house. But what we play with in the landscape is then soil and things like that. So there's a difference. We wash the dirt out from under the fingernails, but when we're playing in it, it's soil. So.
Dirt's what you track in. That's just why grandmother always told you no in and out.
No, that's it.
Once you're out, you stay out.
That's it. My dad, if you don't stop it, I'm going to lock the door.
Yep.
So, but
and either way, whichever. If you're on the outside or if you're on the inside. If you're inside, you're not getting out again.
Yeah, that's
it. You're in the house.
Yeah,
if you're outside, you ain't coming back in.
No, not for a couple hours. You can go out there and enjoy it. So, but so pay attention to the size of your containers. If you got something like the size of a whiskey barrel, if you're planting right in that whiskey barrel, again, that's going to utilizes that moisture to keep that barrel as one piece.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you ever noticed a whiskey barrel ever dry out, they fall apart. There's many, many sticks. It's very hard to put them back together. I know from experience. I have one stick that won't go back in there.
Yeah.
But I got the rest of it together.
Is there a way,
there is.
keep it?
If you have a whiskey barrel, and you have not planted in it yet, you do need to wet them.
Yeah.
You need to keep them moist.
Yeah.
That keeps that wood swollen to where it keeps it locked together.
Gotcha.
You could, if you wanted to, maybe reinforce with those rings around them, some type of band that you can screw to or something inside to where they're not going to just poof and fall apart. A lot of people like to use, there's actually a deep, they either call it a pond liner or something that you can line a whiskey barrel with. If you're going to plant in it, you would have to then put drainage in that. But if you were going to do that and then you realize then the whiskey barrel is no longer absorbing moisture out of that pot.
Yeah.
From there. So make sure you pay attention on that. But it would actually hold it together because it has a lip around the top, preventing it from being able to go or falling in on itself and falling apart.
Right.
Then you're trying to figure out, how did this go together? And like I said, I have one piece that never would go back in.
It looks cool though, and that's the point of having it. It's just how cool it looks with those everything.
And you can make some neat fountains home. Either small fountains or ponds in those to put a couple goldfish or a couple little guppies in or something like that. That helps to keep mosquitoes. You don't have to worry about mosquitoes on that. If you're looking to do lilies, you can't have water movement. So those have to be stagnant. So you really would want something that would be, I think, like the little comets or something like that. Something that can handle not having a filter in it.
Right.
That's doing too much, and be able to keep mosquito larvae at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're finding the little BT pellets and dropping those in there. Yeah. That you've got to do something to take care of that. But and there's little fountains pumps that'll fit in those just to do just some sound, because sound out in the garden is nice. Whether or not you're doing the grasses and things like that'll brush and whoosh in a breeze, or if you're doing a little fountain that'll bubble and give you some sound.
We were mentioning that last week, talking with Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Lori Williams over there, Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Shout out to them, as they were mentioning the deal that they had last weekend, and I think into this weekend, with some of their water fountains. And we were kind of discussing just the little ambiance.
It is.
It is nice
water
having
movement, water sound in the garden is just so relaxing.
To this time of year when you can comfortably sit on your back patio and deck. It's nice to have that a little bit.
Or even some of them can be almost like tabletop or controllable enough that it's not so much water movement that you get a lot of splash, that you could put it on a tiled lanai or something like that, to where you don't want to damage the carpet, you don't want to damage a hardwood floor, but that there are ways of of tuning down the volume of water that's moving that still gets you that little bit of bubbly sound.
And by the way, you mentioned lanai a lot, to the idea of what you can do to make that space really enjoyable because of what it is, and that's one of the things that I've overlooked with that. A lanai is really nice to have, because you get the sensibility of maybe being out of the house, but you're really not. But then you can still have the plants and everything else, because it's and I guess for a long time I was like, well, why have one? It's either outside or inside. But no, it's actually really nice.
The Florida room, the lanai, whatever. I mean, there's so many. To me, it's all the same space. It just depends on what you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I guess I've just gotten in a habit of calling it lanai, because that's what my customers call it. I'd have called it a Florida room, and sometimes they're screened, sometimes they have glass windows, sometimes they are air conditioned. It depends on how far you want to go. But if you've got it pretty much with just a couple ceiling fans, and you've got windows you can open and close depending on the weather conditions, put your plants in there. I mean, it's a great place. Great way. Plants in the house are good for us. And you don't have to find that list of 10 plants that comes up every so often on Facebook, and people come in going, why can't I find this? I said, because you people keep buying them all. Stop it. All plants filter air. Some plants, I guess they claim, are more efficient or filter out other more harmful things. But if say your house is 10 years old, unless you've put new carpeting in, the formaldehyde issue's not going to be an issue. But I mean, a lot of times your home's 10 years old, you might be doing a remodel and need to take care of some of that.
I'm looking for the best plant to take away the asbestos.
That people are looking for that formaldehyde removal, or that maybe there was a smoker in the house and they still feel like that they're smelling that themselves. Then I would probably hire a good carpet and furniture cleaning company. But just an idea. All plants will do, and they will do in the lighting that our homes have. Usually, if you have glass windows, you don't want to put a plant right in front of that, thinking, well, it's getting all the sun. Well, unless you have shears behind there. Excuse me, you're gonna burn that plant up, even if it's a plant that likes full sun.
Full sun,
because it comes through that window and it's magnified. Or you might even check your windows with today's modern windows. A lot of times they have a filter, a tint within those that you may not notice. If they're energy efficient windows, they're blocking UV rays, and that you may need to find out how much is being blocked. How it might be, the room is nice and bright, but is it really? Again, move your potted plants around till you find a happy place. But there's things like the mother-in-law's tongue, sansevieria, many different kinds of those. Some that'll stay a little bit smaller that you can keep on a pot on a plant stand. Others, like the big tall one, everybody's familiar one. That's one of those really super filter ones. Very low light plant. We also refer to those as like plants of steel. They don't take a lot of water. They don't take a lot of care. They don't take a lot of anything. It's a plant of steel. Water it. You're going to go on vacation for a week. Water it before you go. It'll be okay when you get back. And even when you forget to water it for 2 days, go, oh, wait a minute, we've been back. Go ahead and give it some water. It'll be happy. Spider plants, people come in looking for spider plants. Those need a place to hang, or at least hang over. But again, pretty.
Yeah.
Something with tall. If you have a way to hang one, it would give some height into that room, only because of the length of the pups that'll hang down off of there. Hence, its name is the spider plant. Trying to think. Ferns. Everybody likes ferns. Again, another low light type plant. Ferns can get a little messy in the home. Yeah. I'd be more apt to have those where you'd have a tile floor so you can run the Swiffer or something like that around there. So
it is neat when you were mentioning the lanai. Just think about how I know a lot of people have moved towards the garage area as having the screen now as their like Florida room, which is a bigger space, and it's really unique. I've known a few people now that have done that. And I mean, for them, they live kind of minimally where, like, you know, as well as I do. Most people park outside because they've got all of their stores in their garage, right? But this is the idea where they park outside anyway. They got the one vehicle, so they made that area, you know, underneath the roof as the idea of square footage to actually enjoy more space and just, you know, not have as much other stuff or
other
have
things,
other
that someone else mows their yard. They don't have, or they have a minimalist within their landscape and that they don't have as much, or they have a nice little closet in there that can hold the smaller your yard tools that you're needing now. That, you know, you don't have to have this huge, or maybe they have a smaller shed type cabinet behind the home, and allowing that. And even I've seen folks who have some of these mostly because of where I live, the community, or where I work, the community that's there, those folks, they may park their golf carts in that garage, but by day, that opens up, golf cart comes out, screen door rolls down, and they can do their, you know, have their, you know, enjoy both.
The nice Florida room. And with that, it's just like we said, just how many ideas now as it moves into this time of year where you're like, all right, well, and you could bring those plants that are more succumb to the freezes
the
freezes, and we know how chilly it can get overnight. Bring them into that. It's perfect.
And I sort of have this frame of mind of once we get that first cold, you know, if you have enough room, just bring them in and let them acclimate. Let them hang out there till it warms up. Otherwise, you're in and out, and then you're going, why am I dropping leaves? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? It's because he's going from, you know, 60 to 40 to 60 to 40 to 60 to 40, and he's not happy.
Right.
Or we water it when we stick it back outside. We bring it in for a week and a half. We forget to water it, and if you have the room, if you can set up a place to bring them to the lanai, it's going to be warmer in there anyway than outside, just because frosts can't settle on them and things like that. Now, and one thing, and I should have started out with it because I know the last minutes of the program. Your Christmas cactus and your poinsettias. Remember, you want them to bloom for the holidays. Get them in the dark at night.
Oh yeah.
Put them in that spare room that's got the lights turned out. Make sure if they're planted outside that they're, you know, if they're in a pot, move them around.
In the laundry room because she was in there in the morning, but then the rest of the day she wasn't.
You're needing that 12 hours. You're needing that 12 hours at night right now for this several weeks. So go ahead and don't overwater them.
Right. And that's a key because inside the house can be so bright for so long just because of the way things are.
The way we live. You don't want it in that room where you're going to go sit and read.
Right.
You need to move it to that room where you don't, where it's and where no porch light is at, where no the street lamp's not going to come on now at 6 p.m. And be on until dawn. So. Make sure we're paying attention on that. We'll go into that. Maybe I can get into that next week on some of our holiday stuff.
And that'll be that next show will be leading into the end of October, which will be the day after. Is that right?
So 27th is next Tuesday.
Yeah, and then the day after Halloween is daylight savings.
Yes,
or is it the next week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Changing. That's actually kind of good though, because like I know in a way like it's gonna be like all right, it's gonna get darker early. But for those wondering, that darker early means that the days are shorter, and the shorter days gets us to the end of the year even quicker. That'll do it for In the Garden with Carol Ann. Stay tuned. Up next, Matt Gibbs with Sunrise Automotive. Back after this.
The New York Post reports are from his son Hunter Biden's computer.
He's got to act, and he's got to act fast. He's got to appoint somebody. This is major corruption, and this has to be known about before the election.
The president on Fox and Friends. Pennsylvania voters have a little more time to mail back ballots. State Republicans trying to stop that lose in the Supreme Court.
The 4-4 decision means that Pennsylvania will be allowed to count mailed-in ballots that are received up to 3 days after the November 3rd election. Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the liberal judges in upholding a state Supreme Court ruling that required county election officials to count ballots that arrive up until November 6th, as long as there's not proof it was mailed after